Welcome to Amazon first. I'm very excited to be here tonight and to see how many of you actually came down here to hear me talking. And I hope you will be enjoying the talks and all the night. And thanks again for the Agile Roundabout for the opportunity. Tonight, I am going to talk to you about working backwards. To be fair with you, it's not the first idea that came into mind when I was thinking about talking to you tonight. I was actually very excited to say, hey, that's a great opportunity for me. I am Simone Camper. I am Software Developer Manager for Amazon Video. What Software Development Manager does, it's building things. I love building things, and my engineers are responsible for building parts of the mobile applications that are running in Amazon Video today. So I said, you know what? Let me give those 300 very talented people a very deep and in-depth view of what exactly we do every day. I started building slides, graphs, lines and arrows with databases, software, libraries and packages. And at some point I told myself, you know what, I kind of have an epiphany. And I look forward to this night and looking at the audience of sleepy heads and say, all right, maybe that's not the right approach. And I start thinking, what's actually the most powerful thing that I learned in Amazon since I started? I joined the company in 2016, so not so much time ago. And I thought very well, and that's what I came out with, working backwards. You could have guessed from the title, working backwards from what? From customers. I am pretty sure that if you are building products for your customers, you are not considering working away from the customers, right? You kind of put them on the center of your products. I don't think anybody will just say, I don't like my customers. I build whatever I want and then see how it goes. But what I want to talk to you about tonight, what I want for you to go away home with it is how special Amazon treats this, how much customer-centric Amazon is, and what is the, let's say, secret recipe I like to call it, so that we can actually deliver the successes that we deliver every day. Why working backwards? I said, customers are definitely the focus of our attention. And if you really have to boil down to something when you build things, no matter if you are a manager, no matter if you are an engineer or in another role for your company, they are always there, right? You always build something from your customers. And why working backwards is that they have needs, right? And you try to do what you try to do. You try to miss the gap between what you are today, what is the situation of your company, of your product now, today, and what is a future where you're going to fulfill a problem that the customer has, or you're going to deliver something that is amazing. Maybe the customer don't even know they need it. And why working backwards is important? As I said, we try to be customer-centric, and for Amazon, it means a lot. For instance, you may have seen this. If you walk on the Amazon website, on other presentations that have been given before mine about Amazon, the mission of Amazon is pretty simple, being the Earth's most customer-centric company. And you could label it in different ways. It could be related to our retail website, making sure that you have everything in your website from A to Z. You have everything that you can, and you can purchase it from a given website. But it's extended actually in every single business of Amazon. Like if I take the example of Amazon Video, for instance, when you watch an Amazon Video app, I'm pretty sure that the first thing that comes to mind is something that you are interested in, like a piece of content, like a movies or a series, or something that you want to be engaged with. And that's actually because also we believe that content is king. So for a video app, for instance, like availability, how many titles do you have? That's pretty fundamental. So you could apply the same concept in many different contexts. And let me give another example. Like you may believe that you are working backwards already from your customers, that you are considering the customers. But my question for you is, are you really considering the customers and only the customers when you take decisions at the top and everything else? Let me give you an example. An Amazon Video website, when you are not having a subscription or one of the channel subscriptions that we provide, and you go on the website and you want to purchase something because you really want to watch that movie from the 70s that when you were a kid, or when your parents or grandparents, depending where you're setting in your age, you remember it was great. You went there and it's not available in a subscription because maybe nobody wants to watch it, but it's actually available for purchase. And what is available on that purchase buy box as an Amazon logic? Well, it's the cheapest price that you could pay. Why so? Because we believe that as a customer, like if I want to buy something, I want to buy the cheapest things because that's how customers want it. And I give you another example as well that make sure that you realize how customer-centric we try to be. That is an example that's been given years away from others previous than me. And when they launched the purchases on Kindle tablets, on the Kindle when you could purchase ebooks. So right next to the button, there was right after like a button that was saying, are you sure you have really purchased that item? So not many retailers would put such a thing to say, if you want to cancel the purchase that you already made, just please go do it. That was because we wanted to make sure that none of the purchases happened by mistake. So I don't know how many of you have Fire TV at home. I do have, of course, I have multiples. And many times happens that maybe, I switch on the Fire TV for my kids and they're watching cartoons and at some point they just start to play with the remote. It's so playful. And then I come here in the night, maybe 9 o'clock and I watch it and then I see like, season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of Downton Abbey downloaded and purchased. Say, I would look to my wife and say, I don't watch Downton Abbey. I don't either. Actually, I did. But you realize that your kids purchase a lot of things that you didn't want. So as an Amazon company, what we do, we simply make it as easy as possible for the customers to just get refunded, get back the money where you weren't meant to purchase. So that's why, because we try to keep customers always at the first. And how we do it, I mean, it's not just nice words. I've been talking a lot of nice words so far, but we have a lot of things in the company that are driving towards this. And it's not just bigger, let's say, mechanics around the company. It boils down to every single one of us. Like if I have to rely on one of my engineers to be customer-centric, and we talk about this, I know what it means, and what it means, and he knows what to do about it. And that's what I'm talking about here. That's kind of this recipe that I want to give you tonight. And if you bear with me, it's quite simple. It's made of a few very, very selected points. Number one, when I started thinking about what actually means working backwards for me, it's actually starting from here. If you want to be customer-centric, your company needs to believe in it. And if you want to believe in it, it needs to be written somewhere. For us, it materializes on leadership principles. We have a lot, many. I just put the names. And for every of them, we have like a very, very succinct definition of what does it mean. Like for mass customer obsession, it's making sure that we do not only fulfill what customers need, but we keep building things that are building trust with our customers. That no matter how you interact with us, we keep being trustworthy of your details, your purchases, everything that you rely for us to giving you something back. And that is not only like a very nice set of words on a stone or a piece of paper. It's actually embodied in many processes. So from the beginning to the end, very likely, of the career in Amazon, this is very, very coming back a lot of things in many decisions, in many processes that we use, not only for making decisions on products, on everything, actually. And that's, I think, the very, very start. Like, if you want to be customer-centric, start from the values of your company. So if your company doesn't believe it, your employees also won't believe in it. The second one, it starts to get even more interesting for me because, let's imagine that you have a company that strongly believes in customer obsession, and now you want to build something new. You want to build a product, like you have an idea. Let's start with an idea. You want to build something that is delivered to customers. And okay, where do you start? You start by defining the idea, and you want to deliver something. And in the world where everybody works backwards, what is the furthest point you can work backwards from? I can tell you, because we have 30 minutes, unfortunately. The farthest point where you could go, it's when the product is there, so when the product is launched. So the very, very first thing, as Amazonian, when you start something, you start from a press release. So let's assume that's the day where we ship something, and we need to present it. So in this case, that's the first piece of document I have read when I joined the company in 2016. We were about to embark in a very, very ambitious mission, which was to deliver Amazon Video in 200 countries and territories. So this is really the actual piece of press release that went out when we delivered on 14th of December on 2016. And if you could read it, this is not only a very clear definition of what you want, where you want to deliver and when, by the way, but it also tells you a lot of interesting points that are actually enables you to select your battles when you are moving forward with your projects, moving forward with your developments. Like, let me pick a couple of them. We want to launch into 100 countries. At the time, Amazon Video was present in 4 countries. So, all right, I need to go on a press release and in one shot launch into 100 countries. Challenge number 1. We want to be releasing a lot of titles, like to the big public, like Grand Tour, The Man in the High Castle, Mozart in the Jungle. So all the big titles that the customers were enjoying in the 4 countries, we just wanted to make available to everyone. You have a very, very second strong points, because that's also why you want to go everywhere, because there are people that want to watch this very good content, but they don't have access to it because it's just not available to them. And then you go forward, and then you can see in the real actual press release, which I'm not reading out loud for you, unfortunately, but you could find it on the web. If you just search for it, you will find the full transcript of the press release. You will find all the details of what's actually been launched, feedback from customers and other personalities. So you, as an engineer or as a person starting on a project, very, very first thing, you start working backwards from the end. I know it sounds strange. It may sound even like anti-agile in some way, like usually in many agile methodologies and practices, you don't go at the end. You just try to focus as much as possible on the present, on the level of ambiguity you can deal with and you can't predict. This is kind of breaking those rules. But in a way, it gives you clarity where you want to go. And the interesting thing is, it could be written. And when it's written, if you see, this goes public to every one of your customers. So when you write it, you have to be very, very careful in selecting the words, removing acronyms, making sure that everybody can understand. So if everybody can understand it, maybe also your employees, your engineers, the people that are building the products are actually also have a very, very clear idea of what they have to do. And let me tell you, that's great. When you start knowing where you want to go, that's made a very, very clear direction. But sometimes, like, OK, we need to launch. OK, how? And then you start asking questions. Well, guess what? When you do a press release, what happens next? You open for questions. So the next big point that we use when we work backwards from something that we deliver to our customers are actually FAQs. So we ask a lot of questions. And not just any questions, like questions that our customer would ask the hard question first. The things that you just don't want answered because you maybe you're not expert in it, or maybe are the things that you don't know what's going to be about. So we try to ask a lot of questions, and that's, again, it's been written. So try to make it simple, try to make it very concise. It's not like try to ask every possible single questions. What are the most hardest questions? What are the questions that are reducing the number of ambiguity that you have to deal with? Like, you start from a press release, you have an idea what you want to do, but then when you go to the specifics, how you cut down the ambiguity, big chunks by smaller chunks and smaller chunks. That's how you do it. And you're not only considering customers, you're considering stakeholders as well. You may be doing a product with other stakeholders that are maybe not your end customers, but those may have questions for you. And what are the most important questions first? Hard questions first. So always remember that there is no question that needs to be left unanswered. And if it's a hard question and you know it deep inside your heart, the questions that when you go into a meeting, let's please God, let me not, let nobody ask these questions because I have no idea how to deal with it, that needs to be on the top of your list. If you do it, that's a little bit the beauty of this process. If you do it, you could imagine you have a document. You have a document written with like a page, let's say, of a press release and a few pages of questions. Let's imagine how easy it would be any meeting of yours. Like you walk into a meeting and you just let others read what you think about. What are the questions that you believe others may have? You anticipate questions and discussions that instead of happening within a meeting, within a decision point of yours, they already kind of happened in the previously. So people are just reading and nodding and say, makes sense or not. But it's much, much more smoother. And I don't want to lie to you. When you go finding questions, you get a lot of them. And you could write a very, very long document about it. That's why I added my last point, which is super important. it needs to be quick. You don't want people to sleep over your document. You don't want to have like an encyclopedia of questions. For us, that means 6 pages. Don't ask me why 6 pages. That's a hard question. But 6 pages is actually a very good number, because what you could do, for instance, you could read it in 30 minutes, around 30 minutes reasonably. It's something that you could just go through it. And let's assume, what's the average length of your meeting? An hour, possibly. You could have half an hour of reading plus half an hour of actual discussions. And this discussion is actually happening in a very, very informative way, because everybody has a very clear understanding of what you want to do, because you put it in words. And if you put it in words, you have thought about it. You thought very, very deeply about it, because you wrote the press release, you wrote all the questions, maybe you're not alone, maybe you review it with someone else. And that's how you make not only meetings go smoothly, but as how also you confirm and you make sure that you are always moving backwards from the customer, from something that you want to deliver from customers. I said before, that needs to be readable. You should not put diagrams maybe, or like things that people cannot understand, like the average customer, for instance, can't understand. No TLAs, 3-letter acronyms, and also try to have it read by everyone. That's another thing. That's another very, very beautiful thing. In my experience, that's how I started. Like I told you, like one of the first documents I read when I was in video was that press release and all the questions about launching Amazon Video into 100 territories. I was in a meeting and asking a lot of questions. And the beauty of it is that people were listening. I was there since a couple of weeks, and I said, "Oh, actually, I'm new. I have no idea how to build this, but actually people are listening to my feedback as a customer, because that's what I was giving as a feedback." Well, I realized later on that was a meeting with my manager, my +1, +2, +3, +4, and it went well. I'm still here, so it's actually a very, very easy way to also collect feedback, because you put it down to a level where anybody can provide you feedback, and gets automatically for you as well a very, very good level of transparency. I want to get to this slide as soon as possible, but I really want you to follow me, because otherwise you wouldn't understand the heavy work that is behind working backwards on customers. That's really powerful. Like in video, for instance, we use it all the time, and in that case, we use it for many different reasons, like giving a direction, where you want to expand. You want to expand in Brazil, France, Italy? Well, no, 200 countries, I told you so. So that's just very, very clear. And why you want to do it? Because you have titles that people want to watch everywhere. It's not just in France and Italy and Spain. So let's go everywhere. Let's go everywhere, and let's do it all together. It also can help you prioritizing things. Like in our case, it meant basically that was top priority for all of us during that year, because it's a super challenging project. And I'm talking about other examples that we did at the time, like simplifications. At the time, delivering into the world, it meant as well supporting any kind of languages. But how can we make it happen? It's a very, very scaling problem. So, you know what? Let's try to deliver it first in English, and then come back again with other languages. Why English? Well, let's use data. Let's see how people are interacting with it. Let's see what is the content that we have available the most. Let's see how people are watching the most, which is the most spoken language in general about the world. Let's try to use criteria to simplify, and that's always in support of the main, let's say, idea that was in that document. I have mentioned a couple of examples of projects that I was in the past. And now, today, I am dealing with a different type of ambiguity in my daily activities. Like I told you before, in my team, we build platforms to do experiments on user interfaces on the mobile. So if you open your mobile phone and it's a little bit funnier, you could thank me or not. Not only me, at least. And how we do it? Well, you know what? Like this. So we start writing a press release, what we want to launch. What are the questions the customer may have? Why my user interface changed? Why I see images that are now rotated? Why I only see pictures with blood and I didn't see it before? All questions that came up from a customer perspective, they are in that document. So I also use it at the scale of my team, which is a very, very much more restrained type of project. It's like 6, 8 engineers working on to build things, and it still works, and it's still very, very clear for everyone. So if you could imagine a setup where you have very, very great and smart people, which luckily I am in my case, building things, You don't want to let them know every single line of code they have to build, every single detail of what you want to build. If you are like us, you want to deliver something cool for your customers, what you do. That could be just it. Describing what you want to launch, describing the questions that customers may have, and let your builders build what's the best customer experience. Just before I finish, I try to be fast. Hopefully I did. That boils down to 4 words. So, like you do in video, if you have a product that is delivered to customers, which is, I'm pretty sure, the case of many of you, if not all of you, keep it in your tenets. So if you want to work backwards from our customers, make sure that it's very, very clear what you want to do, how you want to work backwards from our customers, who are your customers, and that everybody in your group understand that that's priority top, number 1. Customers comes always first. Start from the end. Instead of starting from what you are now and just plan the next move, or just plan everything, for instance, just look very, very in a fast-forward mode, where you want to go, what's the value for your customers, what you want to deliver for those customers, and then walk backwards from there, how you want to build it. So you want to build that, you want to expand into 100 territories, what you have to do, what are the changes to your infrastructure that needs to happen, what are the new piece of software, the new agreements that you have to sign. And remember, always ask the hard questions first. It might be something very, very sweet. Hard questions are very, very hard, and sometimes you don't even have the questions. And sometimes those are the indicators for you to say, maybe you are not ready to share it with the broader group. If you don't have answers for the hard questions, you will very likely walk into a meeting and have somebody ask them. I can guarantee you that's the first question that they're going to ask you. And you're going to just say, I'm sorry, I need to go back and do my homework. And make it quick. So if you need to support decisions and you walk backwards for your customers, don't write super long documents that nobody will read and everybody will just skim in 3 seconds without understanding the essence of it. Make sure that you give people enough time to read every single word you have written, because you have been putting a lot of time writing it, and they will very, very likely want to read it and have the opportunity. Like, I'm pretty sure you know it. When you write something, you start with a good intent of reading it, and then maybe at some point you realize, okay, that's not what I wanted to read, that's uninteresting, and I don't understand this. So you want to avoid this, try to be simple, try to be short, and don't forget, working back from your customer, it means as well considering the necessity of your customer first above everything else that you do. And thank you very much for that.